Going live.
Hello.
Hello, I'm James,
I'm Chelsea.
and we are so excited to share with you about Lensafarianism. Did I say that correctly?
Lensafarianism.
Excellent. I'm getting better at it. Anyway, we have discovered a belief system, which isn't really a belief system, but it's really a belief system, but it's a framework that we have found that is so powerful in helping us to find the most beautiful beliefs. And we want to share this, and we're just so excited to share this with the world. I've been making lots of little videos, but we want to share more so we can get people involved. People that we've been chatting with in person have been really excited about it, so we want to get our online crowd to be excited about it as well. So basically, Lensafarianism is about understanding that we can change the lens in how we receive and we perceive the world, and to make it as simple as possible in the most beautiful and boldest ways, because this belief system has just like skyrocketed our relationship together. We found this together through our own practices. Like, we ran into dissonance inside our relationship, and we just couldn't get over that hurdle for the longest time. And this helped us to it's incredible how quickly this happened. So basically, Lensafarianism is about changing the lens. It's a belief that we can change the lens in what we believe, so that we can let go of beliefs that no longer serve us, but also to distill the beliefs that we have even down to more brilliant and beautiful things. And the way it all starts is by the idea of looking for the good feeling, meaning that we have thoughts arise within us. She has thoughts that arise within her. I have my perception of the world. She has her perception of the world. We have similar perspectives, but how we actually perceive it are unique to each other. So what came to us, I don't remember exactly when it was, but there's this idea that we have these thoughts, and our thoughts can change the sensations that we're feeling, and the sensations that we're feeling can change our thoughts. So let's go back to the very beginning. When did the first thought arise? Whatever that first thought that came into consciousness, we are under the assumption that it felt good. That whatever that first thought was, it came to a choice that said, I want to be conscious. I want to do this. So the way that we look at this is the brilliant part, is we look for the good feeling. That means that we're making choices in the world, and whatever choice we've made, it's come from a good feeling. And so we look for the good feeling within each other, like look from the other person's perspective. What is the good sensation that they got from making the choice that they made? And then from there, it's so brilliant that I can work it back 100 million different ways into all the philosophies and religions and psychologies and everything else. It all stems together. It blasts through narcissism, codependency, dissonance, cognitive dissonance, all of these things. But it's just helped us within our relationship, and now we're watching it help people out in the world. And we have simple practices that go along with it. Every day we have been picking at random a sensation that we enjoy to have. And then we actually use this in our life. Instead of with complete strangers saying, hi, how are you? We say, hey, today's sensation is this. It's contentment, it's playfulness, it's mischievousness. It's all these different fun, feel-good sensations. And this is the practice of Lensafarianism, is to practice the good feeling, finding the good feeling and remembering we're connected to that good feeling. And then we can understand better how other people work, why they're choosing their actions, the circumstances they're putting themselves into. So this can go from somebody that is just starting out on a spiritual journey or a self-improvement journey to somebody that's dialed it in and is, there's still people that are waking up and then they're like, but what do I do? I'm in a world where people are still doing all this crazy, what people like to call the ego stuff and the control stuff and blah, blah, blah. So what do? Become a Lensafarian is what we're saying.
Yes.
And we love it because there's no pressure. Lensafarianism is not to be taken serious. It is so important to us because it has richened our life. It's deepened our life. It's deepened our experience as a couple and us individually. And, but the nice thing it is, we're saying we're Lensafarians. That's what we do. You can criticize us. It's good. Because whatever belief, we want to get better beliefs. We want to get rid of the past, which is another thing we've done. We've gone and erased our pasts because we looked at the relationships that we had with people, either intimate or friends or family, and we went back and we Lensafarified it. We're coming up with all these fun words to go along with it. And it just takes the resentment, it takes the stuckness, the static nature of that, and releases it back into this dynamic experience in the world. And so we're just so excited to get this out and to organize this a little bit more. And that's what we're doing on this video, is just kind of giving a real good taste of Lensafarianism, and then people that we've been contacting with, they're helping us. Like, people are figuring out, oh, you could look at it this way, and you could do it this way, and oh my gosh, this reminds me of this, and I just love this so much, and we're just so excited to share it. And so, Chelsea, you have anything to add that I missed out on that introduction?
Basically, that one of the things to kind of understand is that when James is referring to the original good, this is the original, before anything started in this universe. The original feeling of anything coming into consciousness, it came from something good that wanted to experience good, that feeling of good. And I think that's when I started applying our Lensafarian, and anything that's like it kind of wrinkled me at it even just a little bit. I look at, oh, they're looking for the good that's coming from good somewhere, and that's Lensafarianism. It's being able to look for the good, so you're constantly shifting those lenses. It's so exciting.
So here's a little anecdote to go along with what Chelsea just shared. So in the morning when I'm making coffee, sometimes I like to have, we use dry milk powder. And so I put it into a cup, and then I put the faucet on spray, and that helps me mix it up so I don't have to get a fork out, to go to all that business. And then you go ahead and tell the rest of the story.
Well, this has always been a little bit of a thing where I go to turn on the kitchen faucet, and when he leaves it on spray, it sprays everywhere. And I'm always like, gosh dang it. And I flip it over. And it's something that I'm like, oh, let me say something. But I'm like, he did this from a good place of wanting to froth his milk. And it just totally changed my having any kind of irritant about it. And then I was able to say, hey, babe, when you froth your milk, you leave that on and it sprays all over. But it was the tones. Everything changes when you're able to look for the good. It's not like he was doing it to bug me on purpose,
Right. So for me, being the receiving end of that, like earlier in our relationship where something would be like that, the way that it would come across is passive aggressive, yes, nitpicky, yeah, and it came from a different place. But she did it that time, and I was like, ugh, you're right. I mean, it happens to me too. I forget that I put it on the spray, and then it sprays me, and I like, oh, darn, I forgot again. So we're still lens correcting for each other, but it's coming from a different place than this nitpicky accounting kind of place.
Because I wrestle with that as far as, I know that I would be like, can we, I'd have this little like tone that I would use. And I'm able to actually roll that back and be like, I don't have to come at it from that angle. This has completely wiped away my old mindset with how to communicate whatever it is. So I'm not communicating it with these rough edges. I'm able to just communicate it through the lens of looking for the other person's good first. And it's like, it just makes it beautiful, lighter, easier to communicate something.
And it registered with me more in wanting to change that behavior. I'm not saying I'm never going to do that again, because I caught myself doing it just recently. And I don't like doing it for myself either. So, but it is that lens. It is just that lens shift. And it's just been amazing. We have had circular conversations. I don't know if you guys have ever had circular conversations in a relationship before, but basically circular conversations is just dissonance. It is, there's a term for it in psychology called cognitive dissonance. And it's when you can't actually find the perspective of the other.
That would be me. I had a lot of time.
And so, yeah, we would, so I'm like, you just make sure you don't hit that there, sweetie. Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. So it works in this realm. So it makes me understand I'm much more of a tangible, less metaphysical kind of thinker, but resonates so much with this in metaphysics. I've never been so metaphysical because I understand it. It's resonance. It's a frequency. And that is what's really coming about. It's just astonishing to where we would have hours, days long circular conversations to, oh, you were experiencing this. Poof. It's over. And we even were able to revisit old places. We still had stuckness. And then it was like, what, can you tell me what I was experiencing? And she just goes, poof, and she says it. And I'm just like, I was sitting there waiting for like days to have you say just those words. But just by spinning the lens and looking for the feel-good sensation first, we're learning to communicate on a very, very different, in a very different pattern. Mm-hmm. And so that's just one of the millions of ways that this has been so, well, millions, a lot of different ways. We're very excited about this. And then the practice is just so much fun. And that's the beautiful thing is, like, so many people are starting out. If you're just starting out on a spiritual journey or whatever, like so many people that have been on spiritual, you're going to run into those people right away. And they're just going to tell you how hard it is. And, and I know that would have been me a few years ago. I would have been telling you, man, I had to do the hard work, the good work, dark night of the soul. And I'm not saying this stuff isn't uncomfortable and could be there could be some of that, but it does not need to be this heavy chore that we do. We can wake up and we can enjoy it. And that's the nice part about this is this gives us something every day to look forward to. Each one of us, it's one of us in the morning will say, what's the sensation of the day? Because we can't wait to start looking at it, because every time we start telling stories from these things, when we're talking about when we were joyful or when we were content or when we were mischievous, those stories just feel really good. Mm-hmm. And then we've been asking people in public, just strangers, hey, instead of saying, hey, how are you? We say, hey, the sensation of the day is such and such. And I've had just these incredible conversations, spun people around. There was some people with sincerity, and they just had the most beautiful story of sincerity. And I was just like, this is great. We're looking for that feel-good sensation, but we're looking at it we're looking at it to experience it, to practice it, not just with the old noggin here, because we can really try, and that was me. I had a stack of books, spiritual books, psychology books, everything else on my bedstand. So it was just concept after concept after concept after concept. this is a practice. This is a practice. You get up, and we're actually working on our navigation system, because our navigation, and that's the nice thing is we tighten it up and make it very simple. Our navigation system under Lensafarianism is unconscious means emotions, and feelings means we're conscious of it, and then we know what thoughts are.
We're actively engaging in the discovery of more of our senses from discovering and sharing these memories and asking these questions with the stranger on the street. It's a new discovery.
Right, and it gives people cool things to think about. I love to have cool things to think about. Doesn't everybody love to have cool things to think about?
Absolutely.
Perhaps not, but we hope that that's what it is, and so we're just so excited to bring this and keep playing and practicing, and we're just so excited for people to jump on board and start playing more with us, and hopefully soon we'll be bringing this out on the road and talking to y'all live in big, huge arenas, broadcasts everywhere. So is there anything else that we might be able to touch on in Lensafarianism? I was trying to see if we have.
One thing that I just wanted to mention about our feeling of the day, sensation of the day, is how that is like its own discovery journey. You know, when you just for your own quiet time, you start. For me, I'm starting to remember and have better, like, just relationship with my memories. So it's about having a beautiful relationship with your mind and your memories and the beautiful people around you.
Yeah. That's been a lovely thing. And if you've noticed that people like to talk about themselves, and I like it when you like to listen. You're listening to what brings them joy, what brings them sincerity, what brings them contentment, what brings them peace, whatever the sensation is for the day. And that's just been an amazing experience. And as far as relationships go, intimate relationships, this is just so ridiculous. This is probably the most exciting thing for me to share, just because I spent a lot of my adult life single, trying to find love and trying to find a romantic partner, but kept running into the same dissonance, same circular conversation. I would say, I just won't do that anymore, and I would do it again, and then have these little short relationships. And this will just cut right through through the butter, like with a warm knife. That's how this has been so far. And this is something that I wish I had back when I was a psychotherapist. That was probably one of the things that I would do. I was a master in finding somebody's dissonance, their cognitive dissonance, but then it was the work was getting them out of that dissonance. And this is not work. This is a lot of fun, and it's a lot of playfulness. And there's going to be serious people that want to take everything serious, and Lensafarianism might not be for you, and that's cool, because that's the neat thing about Lensafarianism. You don't have to believe in it. We're not looking for followers.
No. Believers.
Yeah.
It's everyone on their spiritual journey. You're either, wanting to do that hard work, the work, or you can shift and go on discovery. Make it a discovery. I'm discovering. You guys do the work. We're going to go discover.
Yeah. And once you recognize that something works, that you feel lighter, that's the biggest thing. It's like, what is it? What is the feel-good sensation that you would feel if you had healthy psychology? And to me, that sensation is playfulness. You will have playfulness with your day. You will have playfulness in your relationships. You will have playfulness everywhere. So I've kind of lost my relationship with the word work. And if it feels like work, I'm most likely not going to go towards it. So If it's playful and exciting, and mostly, even if it is something that before I would think was work and it felt like work, I'm not saying I don't do things, like I'm not paring my life down that way. In fact, I'm expanding my life. I still have to change the oil on cars and do things that paint. Oh boy, that was a big one. It's like with Lensafarianism, it's a practice also of getting in the present moment and just relensing the way that I see the things that I do. So if I'm changing my oil, I like to think about thoughts of teaching my daughter to change her oil. And so when out there, I've got a smile on my face as I clank my knuckles with a wrench or whatever, and just have a good time with it. But that's another thing, is it really is about it. Oh, if I bring this up, it's probably going to get Chelsea going. Gatekeeper. The gatekeeper. If we train our minds, like somebody could get into Lensafarianism, train their mind in just a little bit of time, you're just creating a new habit, which is to start looking for the good feeling. When you start finding the good feeling in the moments, it's bringing you more present. The thing that wasn't making you present was the gatekeeper. It's the thing that's trying to make tons of value judgments on everything about what's good, what's bad, and then you somehow have to manage these things to try to find where you're happy instead of just finding that you already are happy. So it's about bringing ourselves into the present moment. And I have kind of a little mantra that I say to myself, especially if I catch myself drifting into like the gatekeeper, going in there, just starting to gatekeep and say, well, I don't like this, and this doesn't feel good, and this is the wrong temperature, or whatever else. What I want is I want to be fond of the moment. So it allows me, in whatever situation is happening, there's a fondness in the moment. And I'll just tell you a couple of them that have happened recently, where there was a fondness in the moment. Really, when it was happening, I got yelled at Costco, which was partially my fault, but it was like just like we're human and we just do these dingleberry things every once in a while. And I did it. Somebody just got angry at me, was screaming at me. And I remember I didn't react at all. I just was still smiling, and as this gentleman was screaming at me and telling me that I was lazy and blah, 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 I'm just like, I didn't have that gatekeeper going in and trying to defend myself, try to tell him that I was wrong or that he was wrong, or to try to settle it down. It was just, I was peaceful in that moment. I finished filling my tank and I left. And I left feeling a good sensation. Chelsea and I were involved in a little car ding the other day, a little fender bender, and what could have been like this big thing and whatever else. It was just like, the other gentleman was just, he was very fine. He was not upset or anything. We all just kind of did the things that we needed to do to get things done. Take one thing at a time and just be fond of the moment. Like not knowing, not having that gatekeeper, because that's the gatekeeper too. The gatekeeper is that thing that keeps saying that I need to register this as a bad thing. This was a car accident. I need to go out and tell everybody about my car accident. I'm going to have to deal with insurance. You don't have to bring the drama in. Yeah. And it ended up turning out great. What I thought, a couple of my little gatekeeper thoughts popped up that I was going to have to be dealing with insurance and blah, blah, blah. And just out of the blue, I wasn't even thinking about, and the check appeared to me. And even more beautiful things have arisen from that since. And so it's a great way to find the fondness in the moment. And if you're just beginning and you're like, oh, I couldn't do that. Well, don't pick the things that you don't feel like you can do. You pick those experiences that you feel like you can change, have a fondness for this moment. If you're bored and having to sit in the laundromat or whatever, it's like, just challenge yourself with feel good. Find the feel good. Like, what is it that how could I feel good? Maybe you can create a conversation with somebody about the sensation of the day, whatever it takes to get more present. Mm-hmm. And this is also a way, Lensafarianism also kind of spins the whole idea when people step on, and I know this was for me, when I stepped on my spiritual journey, it was about meditation. Like I started going to like a spiritual center and meditation. They had long meditations, and I had the monkey mind. I had the monkey mind in a crazy way, and it took me years to work on my mind until I could slow it down and have some space between my thoughts. And I wish somebody had been able to impress. Even people might have told me at the time, but I wish they could have impressed that there was a different way that I could have done it, to not focus on my thoughts. That was what was driving me nuts, is it's like trying to herd kittens. You're trying to get the thought, but the thoughts are going crazy. The thing I would now, with Lensafarianism, I'd say, get out of your head. Start looking at your sensations. Look at your emotions and your feelings. Be aware of those when you're sitting and trying to meditate. Don't worry about the thoughts. Feel the sensations that are going through your body.
And don't try to gatekeep that.
Right. Yeah. See, that's probably one of the hardest things to do. That's what it is. That's the whole thing about having anxiety about your anxiety.
The gatekeeper, there's multiple gatekeepers, and we can't be in denial about that. We've got gatekeepers all over the place. We got the gatekeeper on what we should say, what they should say, so there's a lot of gatekeeping going on. And I know for me, I focus on trying to not like, oh, how should I say this? Or, so I'm getting that gatekeeper finagled out of the way, because I hold back just sharing my true self a lot, because I'm constantly gatekeeping myself, so there's
holding yourself back,
holding myself back. Yeah.
And it's like, I think of it as like the thought police. We do it about where our mind is working on what other people should say. So our gatekeeper comes out. If they post something on social media, you shouldn't say it like this, and this isn't right, and you blah 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 blah, that kind of thing. And then it's our own gatekeeper, which you're talking about, is like, this is the thing that actually holds us back from speaking our truth. It's like we can feel it in our throat, like when we're trying to speak. It's that
or just having fun, just being playful, and then somebody saying, "Oh, well, you're not taking this seriously."
Right.
You get shut down that way. So
right.
So we're like, "Oh, am I supposed to?"
And my first thought when she said that is, the thing that would have come out of my mouth is, "Oh, thank you for letting me know. I'm doing it right then, because there's no reason that I need to take anything in this world seriously." Nothing. Except an ego story. I'm sorry. If you're doing the ego stories, then you do need to take things seriously. But if you're not, then things can have a higher value than other things. We can't get away from those kind of hierarchies. They're going to exist. But we can go from neutral to attractive, instead of going from attractive to negative, or repulsive, we can say. So anyway, I feel like this was a really good little introduction to Lensafarianism. It's the term came out through us and all of that stuff, but this is something for all of us to gather together, to put together, to understand and help us enjoy this ride in life. And so we're so excited to have people share your experiences, what would be helpful for you. We've had people bring up, pretty intense stuff, ideas, and how we would apply Lensafarian with that. But if you also just have great ideas for things that we do, we're under the umbrella of what we call Paradigm B, which birthed itself about 2 years ago when we got together. And since then, we have created the Beatitudes. And these are just little slogans. I have one of them on my t-shirt right now. Life is the gift of experiencing you. And they're just things like we have to put our attention. We're putting our attention in this world on something. And the Beatitudes are just things that we think have a lot of impact in how we look at and manage our daily life, getting into cahoots with what is. They're just doing their thing, living in the dream. These are just things to think about. So we have the Beatitudes, we have Lensafarianism. We've also have the AHA process, which is a really simple process that we worked on together and came through our relationship, and lots of synchronicity. There's some videos on the AHA process, but anyway, we're excited.
Yay!
And we want to share more with you guys and give us more feedback. What would you like to hear? You can find us at paradigmb.org, and you can contact us through that way, or comment here on the YouTubes or wherever this video finds itself. Anyway, you got anything else you'd like to share, Chelsea?
Just make sure you're having a beautiful experience, and if you're not, then maybe take a closer look at some of the other videos James has done.
Yeah, and Chelsea too. She's made great videos. Chelsea's working on her comfort with doing videos. I've been at it for quite some time, so Chelsea's still cutting her teeth and getting through it, but she's amazing when she nails it, and she's going to continue nail it, and she's going to continue trying it because people love her. And so I'm going to keep encouraging her. Another great sensation. Anyway, we hope you have a wonderful day.
Enjoy those beautiful sensations that we all get to enjoy.
Right on. Feel good.